Hey, how you doing today? We wanted to go over a couple of repairs here for you this afternoon to show you how the filled filet surrounds work for Boston Acoustics speakers. We use these on several different Boston Acoustics models. We'll show you that today in the video. Primarily these are found in the HD series, like the HD5s, the HD7s. You'll see them also in the VR series, the T1030s, the T1030s, and the T1000s, as well as some of the PV series subwoofers. And what makes them unique is the surround is, I'll kind of show you one here, is very high compliance. It's a very soft surround, and they kind of have a flange-less design on the inside that makes them a little bit more difficult to install than a normal surround that you might have seen us do in some of our other videos here at the shop. So we wanted to kind of show you these today. We carry them in several sizes. We have them in a 5-inch, a 6-inch, a 7-inch, an 8-inch, and a 10-inch, which covers the entire lineup from Boston Acoustics. Some of the Advent models use them. EPI and Genesis also use these. Some of the older acoustic research products use these as well. A lot of the East Coast speaker designs you'll find have this type of filled filet surround. They're very high compliance. They provide great bass response. A little more difficult to install, so we want to show you how that works today. Once we get into the gluing, we'll show you how that part sets up on the cones. And if you need anything, you can always reach out to us through our website, of course, and we're here to help. So the two units that we're going to do today for you, we have are both the square frame design. You'll see the frame is kind of squared off at the corners. We call it a pin cushion or a square frame. Boston Acoustics use these on a lot of different models. We have a 10-inch woofer here that we'll be replacing the surround on. This is out of a PV600 woofer, subwoofer system. It's a powered system that Boston made back in the 90s, and these are pretty popular. We also have a woofer out of a T1030 that uses two of these woofers and a mid-range and a tweeter as well. These are a polycone. It's the same design essentially. It's just a smaller frame. This is an 8-inch, so we'll show you that repair here today as well. And to save time for this video today, we've already done the cleaning for you. As you can see, I've already taken the time to clean the foam and the frame from all the old material. We do cover that on some of our other videos, so if you want to watch us do that, just check some of the other videos on our YouTube page, or of course check the instructions as they come in with your repair kit. They have illustrations and descriptions to show you exactly how to do that. So if you have any questions, of course, reach out to us through the website and we can get you taken care of. We'll get these here done for you when we return. Okay, so we're back and we're going to do two repairs here for you today. We're going to do the 10-inch Boston Acoustics out of the PV600, and we'll do the 8-inch out of the T1030 as well that we described to you earlier in the video. I'm going to start with the larger one here, and on any repair that you're doing, of course, you want always want to dry fit the surround. So you've got your surround part here. You want to make sure that it fits in the frame properly and that it's going to fit with the cone the way that it's expected to here. You'll notice there's a gap right here when we lay the foam into the frame, and that's okay. The cone needs to be lifted up to meet the foam. This is normal, okay? Under its own weight, of course, it sits down just a little bit, and when you do the gluing, you're going to be meeting these two parts and mating them together using the adhesive we supply in the kit. All right, so you can kind of see that action there. If it makes you feel better, if it makes it a little bit easier, you can take some paper towels, kind of wad them up like this, and place them in behind the cone. Won't damage or scratch anything, and you see how that holds the cone up there perfectly. So it's touching the surround. It makes the gluing a little bit easier for you, so you don't have to hold the cone up as long while that glue is setting up for you. The glue is a pretty fast dry, so it doesn't take very long to set, but some folks are a little more comfortable doing it that way. And you'll notice on the outside on these particular surrounds that it's very tight in the frame. Some folks seem to think that they might be too large, but they're not. They're just a tight fit, and you kind of just push them down and inward like this, and it drops right down into the frame properly, just like this, and it's completely snug all the way around on this particular design. There's no play, there's no gap between the foam and the frame, and that is typical on these Boston Acoustics square frame woofers in all of their sizes. So be prepared for that. That's okay, and that is not anything to be worried about. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and flip the surround upside down, just like this. I like to just press it into place and kind of center it so that it's the mating surface of the foam is aimed upward, and that makes it easy for you to apply your glue. So we'll take the glue that you get in your kit, We'll open that up. Keep a couple of clean rags nearby so you can keep everything clean. All right, and then we'll just kind of start here. Squeeze from the back of the tube slowly all the way around. You want to get about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more of a bead of the cement there. Takes a little getting used to. You see I'm just kind of spinning the speaker with one hand and holding the glue tube steady with the other. Go ahead and recap the glue to keep that clean. And then I like to just use my fingertip to kind of smooth the adhesive out on the surround. There's a little brush that comes in the kit, and some folks prefer to use those, but I prefer to just use the tip of my finger. Again, keep your hands clean. Then I lift it up, give it a couple of little swings like this to kind of set the glue, get a little air on the adhesive. It makes it tack up a little nicer for you. And you see what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of, first thing I'm doing is pushing the surround down into the frame. We're not really concerned about the cone right this minute. We'll let that set for a second. And now we can kind of lift the cone up just a little bit, and we'll hold that in place while we press the surround from the top down into the cone area. And you see how I'm just kind of slowly working it down like this, all the way around. Just light pressure is all it takes. There's no clamping or anything required here. This allows you to kind of reposition the surround. And I'm trying to kind of meet the old glue line here on the cone as best as possible. Just press it downward. You can kind of press and pull downward as you work the surround into place. Okay, we like to do that all the way around the cone. It takes a few minutes for it to start to set up, but it's rather quick, so you have time to kind of adjust it, but you don't really have to babysit it too much, which makes the process go fairly well, fairly easy for you. All right, you see kind of what I'm doing here. Again, just kind of playing with it all the way around, just like this. Alright, use your thumb, use your finger, whichever you like. Just keep your hands clean to keep the glue off the surround so you get a nice finished appearance when you're done with your repair. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple of paper towels underneath this just to kind of hold this up. And we'll set that aside for a minute, and then we'll come over here and we'll do the 8-inch one as well. Same idea here, okay? Go ahead and apply the bead of glue here all the way around. You see, again, holding the back of the tube with one hand, spin the speaker with the other. Nice even bead all the way around. Cap the glue, set that aside, and immediately go in and get the adhesive spread evenly all the way around the surround, just like this. Okay. Any extra, just wipe it off right there. Pick that up, give it a little swing for the air, and tuck this down into place. And again, you'll see what happens here. The cone is not touching the surround. We're going to lift the cone to meet the surround, just like that. And then I'm just holding the cone kind of with one hand while I work it with the other. All right. And you'll see that it starts to set up pretty quick for you. And again, but it gives you time to move it. If you need to push it like this, you can. If you get a little bit extra glue on the cone, don't worry about it. We can come back and clean that up later. Don't stop what you're doing. Your primary concern here is to get the cone and surround attached properly. Any little cleanup can happen after the repair is complete. Okay, so we're coming in like this. Again, just like on the larger speaker, same idea. Okay, just giving you an idea kind of here what it looks like. All right, the cone still moves. The surround is attached to the frame or to the cone at this point, but of course we're still loose on the outside. And we'll be setting that outer frame portion later for you and centering the cone in the coil at that time. All right. Beautiful. So that's looking good. That's what you want right there. We'll let these both dry up here for about an hour or so, and then we'll come back and we'll do the frame setup with the gluing there and show you how to center the assemblies, and you'll be good to go. All right, we're back, and we're going to complete the repairs for you here today for the 10-inch Boston Acoustics PV600 woofer, as well as the 8-inch Boston T1030 woofer that we set up here, and we've let these dry for about an hour. We'll show you how to do the frame glue ups on them. We'll show you how to center the cones and the coils, which we typically do by hand, and it works very well. So if you follow us on the video for that, you should be fine, and we'll get started on that. So for the 10-inch, we have here, if you recall, we had used a couple wadded up paper towels just kind of to help hold the cone up on both sides while we were letting the glue set up on that. So we've done that, so we'll remove those now. And on the 8-inch unit here, we did not need to do that. So in this case, this one's ready to go. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, you'll notice now that it's dry to the frame all the way around, okay? You got a nice secure bond here. You can lift this surround all the way up. You kind of spin the speaker and just have your finger there. You're going to be applying the glue right in this area all the way around the frame here, and we'll show you that. And then to center everything, it's kind of a good idea at this point to kind of do a dry run before you do any gluing, and you can kind of move the cone assembly up and down to get a feel for it. And I can feel a little bit of friction in here, and what you'll notice is if you kind of move it side to side or front to back, that allows you to kind of center the assembly. And now it's perfect, okay? Just for me doing that and exercising the cone, it really self-aligns for you at that point, since the surround is in place on the frame, or on the cone here, and it's doing its job of supporting the top of the cone as the speaker was designed. And a lot of folks get a little bit scared about that, but it's okay. These do center up a lot easier than you might think. So that's just kind of a dry run that we've done there. The next step on this is we'll go ahead and apply the glue. So we'll use our standard glue that comes with the kits, and we'll just kind of lift this up like this, and I like to just kind of run a bead of it. And you see what I'm doing? I'm using the glue with one hand, and I'm kind of spinning the speaker and lifting the surround with the other. It's a little bit of an art to it, but you get the idea here. So we're applying the glue all the way around, just one bead. Go ahead and pull that out, cap your glue, keep a clean rag handy, and then I'll just kind of use my fingertips and press the surround into the glue at this point. You don't need to spread the glue with your finger. The surround is doing that for you simply with the action of you pressing down into the surround. The glue has been spread underneath the surround all along the frame. It is in perfect position now as it needs to be to set up. So while this is drying, you can see here that really it's perfectly centered already. You can push it off center by pressing one side or the other, or the front to the back, but your job is to really make sure that it's centered all the way through its travel. And you can see here I can kind of get my fingers behind the cone and lift, okay, like this. Or we can press down around the center. Just press evenly down around the center of the dust cap, and you'll see that the surround kind of lifts a little bit while it's wet as the glue's kind of setting there, and that's normal. That'll subside as the glue cures. You have a few minutes to work with this. You don't want to walk away from it. You want to kind of babysit it here for the first 3 to 4 to 5 minutes to make sure that it gets set the way that you need it to, so that you're comfortable with the centering. And what I like to do is I like to kind of just give it a little push like this and make sure that I'm kind of clear on all 4 quadrants here. That really lets us know that we're centered all the way through our travel, so that when the speaker is performing back in the system, that we're not going to have any voice coil rub, and this works perfectly every time. All right. So we're going to let that one set up for a minute. Then we're going to come over here and basically we'll do the same thing with the 8-inch version. All right, same deal. Lift this up. You see I can kind of get my fingers under there and lift that surround all the way around the frame, just like this. And we'll go ahead and apply the bead of adhesive under here on this one as well. Same deal, just a smaller speaker. All right. Perfect. One time around, cap the glue, set it off to the side, lift the surround up a little bit so you can get your finger in there. This one's a little thinner, so it's a little harder to get in there. If it's helpful, you can use a coffee stirrer or some other small instrument there to kind of press that down around the surround. I'm trying to make sure that it's clear for the camera here for you so you can kind of see what we're doing. All right. I'm just giving it a light press all the way around, okay? Now while it's wet, you can see that it can still move from side to side. If we turn it this way, 90 degrees, still get some side to side movement there as well. So it's going to be our job to make sure that as it's drying and as it's curing, that we're making sure that we exercise it pretty consistently all the way around and just kind of babysit and check it as we work it throughout the process while it dries. All right, this is just going to take a few more minutes to start to set up. And when it's completely done with the curing, we can reinstall these back into the cabinets. Normally I like to let them sit for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Overnight, if you can handle the pressure and don't want to take any chances, overnight is not a bad idea. But we understand that once you kind of get these back up and running, it's pretty exciting to put them back in the cabinet and hear them again without distortion for what is normally the first time in a while if you've been suffering from foam deterioration or foam rot on the cones, which is really common on these older speakers. So you can see here as I'm lifting the cone, it's clean. It's still lifting a little bit on this side, so we still have a little bit more time here to let this set up. So we'll continue to just kind of work it. I'm practicing, I'm checking all 4 quadrants here. Find the sweet spot is what we describe in the instructions there for you. All right, and we're getting there. Again, you have time to work with this. I'm just going to kind of talk you through it as we're working it. Okay. Sometimes they take a little longer to dry, depends on the humidity in the room, the temperature that you're working in, and also the fact that they're kind of snug. The foam is snug to the frame, so it takes a little longer for the air to kind of infiltrate through the material to start to allow the glue to cure. All right, so again, just take your time with that, and you can see we've got it nice and centered this time. Everything's where it needs to be. So we're just going to let that kind of set up, and we are good to go on this one. So this is the Boston Acoustics T1030 woofer. This is the Boston Acoustics PV600 woofer. Another thing of note on this is on the back end here, when you connect these back into the cabinet, Boston's pretty nice in that they use a small terminal and a large terminal, so you can't really goof up the polarity there. The large terminal is always your positive. It's got a little red stripe on it there. Just pay attention to that when you reinstall these into the cabinets and make sure that your polarity is correct. Same thing on the 8-inch one. Larger, positive, smaller, negative. And if you goof that up somehow, it won't hurt the speaker or the receiver. It just will reduce bass response. So worst case, if that happens, you can always just switch them back out and you'll be good to go on that. But you'll see both of these now are all set and ready to go. So we'll let these sit up for an hour or so and reinstall them into the cabinets, and we will be good to go.